Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC 360 podcast. I'm your host, Stephen. With me today is a very special guest, an icon of women's football in the Northeast. It is Aran Embleton. Aran, how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good, Steve. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the big game at the weekend. Should be
I'm sure you.
fantastic.
I'm sure you are. I think we all are. Before we get on to the game itself, what are your thoughts on the last season so far on their maiden season in the championship?
Yeah, it was always going to be tough, obviously coming up for them. Which I said to everyone, you need to be realistic because naturally, back to back promotions, everyone straight away jumps on the bandwagon, going they're going to get promoted straight to WSL, and I was like, hold on a minute, let's not get excited. Like this is a totally different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with Sunderland at this level and then moved to Doncaster Wells and went in the WSL. So I was like, make no mistake about it, from third tier going into second tier, there's a big jump.
Yep.
And we need to gather, we have to bring players in. There's no choice. They'll struggle otherwise, which they did. They brought on, what, 8 or 9 players in. But, it, first couple of games, it took with it to kind of get into the games. I felt we gave away possession far too much. I think there was obviously a lot of nerves. Um, Quite a few of the players had already played at that level, but again, I think as a team, they needed to gel. They needed to know each other. A lot of players had come in that they never played before with, to find their feet. And I think, yeah, obviously the defeat against Durham, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately Durham obviously second in the league at the minute, and striding ahead, but they needed they're getting there. Do you know what I mean? I've seen the
Yeah.
progression game per game, and really even in the Durham game, considering Durham are at the top, along with Charlton, like we dominated the game anyway. Sunderland
Only gave
side,
it away right at the end as well, right?
yeah, literally right at the end. My heart sank when I seen it going in. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we had something like 17 shots, and I don't think we're clinical enough in front of
Mm-hmm.
goal. The stats tell you everything, and 17 attempts and not one in the back of the net kind of says, we're finished and needs to improve a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I'm as much a stats guy as they come. I agree with. We've been a bit profligate in front of goal so far this season. I do think that. I mean, having watched all the games, obviously, like you say, a number of new signings, like 8, 9 new players since January. If you include some of the January signings, I do
Mhm.
think like Shania Hales looks like she'll be a tremendous player, and so does Amy Andrews. But it looks like they just haven't got that connection yet, right?
Yeah, 100%. And when you're playing up front, it does take a good 6, 7 games to even get into it. Some
Mm-hmm.
forwards pair up and they've been playing together for years. These have just come in together. So, your midfield as well, looking to play balls through, knowing for your centre forwards when to make the run, the timing, so they're not offside. There's a lot that kind of come together, and that doesn't just happen in training. It needs to be in gameplay
Yeah.
time. And no, I think they're doing tremendous with just being promoted.
Mm-hmm.
And it even, like I say, although the score was disappointing against Durham, but it also allowed us to see the fact that we were very dominant. Had we taken more chances in the danger area and finished them, then ultimately we should have walked that game. But I'm sure Becky will have walked away and, she'll have been watching over and over again to kind of pick holes and see where the, elements need to improve in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how do you much of a good benchmark do you think there has been so far this season? Obviously, they've played London City and Sheffield, who were mid-table in this division last year,
Yeah.
and obviously Everton being a WSL side, they were leading for most of the game,
Hmm.
and obviously ended up 1-1 and lost on penalties. But how much of a good benchmark do you think that is for the season going forward against quality opposition?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when you're playing up against Everton, and Everton's been in the WSL, when I was playing against Everton. So, they know their stuff, and they've been around a very experienced club and got great players in there. So to be able to, effectively like draw the game, we took a point from it. Yeah, we lost on pens, but they did, they went back to back with them.
Mhm.
I thought they did tremendous. In regards to the league itself, though, I mean, from what I'm seeing and the performances I'm seeing that we're putting in at the minute, for me, we're definitely within top four. I might struggle at them. I think because of the gap early on, they've had quick starts, Charlton and Durham at the top. I think again, experience, all of that coming together, what we've just mentioned, they'll get win the top four. I don't think the top two,
Mhm.
but I think third or fourth. Yeah, and I think that would be justified for the performances I've seen so far. We just have to see how the rest of the season goes, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would certainly take a top four finish first time in the championship personally. I'd love, obviously, everyone, like you said at the start, everyone would love, another back-to-back promotion.
Hmm.
But like you say, it's a different level, and you saw the level of depth that Everton were able to bring off the bench and whatnot to help turn the game in their favour.
Yeah,
But sort of going back to the mention of the Durham game, obviously we've got the Sunderland game coming up, the first or the biggest game of the season so far. I think even if you include the WSL fixture. Um, how good do you think? How good do you think it is to see three northeast teams in the championship, all sort of playing well to different levels and pushing for promotion to the WSL?
oh, it's amazing, and for the region as well, having three teams up there in championship. There was only ever one time it was Sunderland, and there wasn't. Durham was in a much lower league. Newcastle again lower league. So to have three up there is something I've always, even as a kid, wished for because naturally there wasn't many teams in the northeast could compete at a top level.
Mhm.
Hence, a lot of players moved, like myself, down south to play for a different team because when I needed to play at a higher level. So, for the northeast and for the region, like absolutely fantastic. And the excitement. I mean, what a game! You know, that's what we've always been wanting, playing a derby and
Mhm.
the following, and both teams have gathered a big following themselves. There's a big audience there now for women's football, so it's going to be an interesting game, especially the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you mentioned the following as well. I think that the last time I saw numbers floated on social media, it was about 6,500
Mhm.
away fans for the Sunderland game, and I
Yeah.
believe that number's probably gone up since.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's bigger than some of the home games we've had at Kingston Park, right? So I mean, there's clearly that appetite for a derby in women's football. And we haven't been at a level to play teams like Sunderland or Durham. Obviously, we had Durham Sestria in previous years, but to play at this level and with this sort of scrutiny as well, now that obviously the leagues, the top two divisions have sort of banded together to market themselves a bit more. I think
Mhm.
there is obviously this appetite for something a bit fiery. I think we saw it against Durham, right? There's definitely that pit of desire to get one over on your local rivals.
Oh, 100%. Obviously Newcastle's got a huge following and average game, so what was like 2.5 to 3,500 a game.
Mm,
Latter end of last season in tier three was like I think it was 7,000 the last game, but so far at the Stadium of Light, I think there's about 11,000 tickets being sold. So it's
great.
it's going to be that's amazing for the northeast. It really is.
Mm,
Back in my day when we played, we're lucky if we had 50 50 watching, and most of those were parents. So
yeah,
times have changed, and there's double the amount of teams in the UK over the last 7 years from 7 years ago for women. So
yeah.
you can see a huge change. But I'm so looking forward to the game on Sunday, and Sunderland have been tremendous to get that the start of the season, as you know yourself, they didn't start very well. They got
Mm,
hammered off Birmingham 5-0, and
yeah.
they were bottom of the league and with no points. And I was thinking, what's happened? They've gone from like third, fourth. Most of this last season, they were sitting in second, and then they've
Mm,
lost players to us. Obviously, Claudia's come to us, and they lost Emma Kelly prior to that, and things like that. But yeah, it's to see them at the weekend playing against what Charlton and then drawn 3-3. They were 2-0 up.
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure Mel Ray, the manager of Sunderland, had looked at that and thought, like, put our head in our hands, thinking we're 2-0 up when we still managed to just draw the 3-3.
Yeah.
Obviously that's football for you, but it just shows from what two or three games prior where they got absolutely hammered, how they've switched it around to be able
Hmm.
to compete with Charlton. So I'm not going to go in there thinking it's going to be a rollover, because it's not. It's going to, their heart's in it, their passion's in it. A lot of their
Hmm.
teams, local lasses,
Yeah.
a big chunk of ours are local and played for both teams over the years. So they know that they've got friends in the opposite team. So
Hmm.
it's going to be that you're friends with people outside of football on the opposite team. So as soon as you put that shirt on and then boots on, the ball game changes because you're playing for the 3 points and you're playing for pure pride.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think for me, I want to say a 2-1 win to Newcastle. I just think that we've got a bit more strength and depth in the squad
Yeah.
than what Sunderland have.
Hmm.
Due to the fact they've lost players, and they've come to us or they've gone elsewhere. Like ultimately, what we can bring off the bench is a lot stronger than what they have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned obviously some of the previous results. Obviously, they've started scoring some more goals, but they're still conceding 3 to Charlton. It's almost
Yeah.
like we mentioned the profligacy of Newcastle in front of goal so far this season.
Mhm.
It's almost like the stoppable force versus the movable object a bit so
Yeah.
far this season if you're comparing the form. So
Absolutely.
it'll certainly be interesting. But I think you will know very well, and I think everyone who has watched this derby, be it in the men's game or watching us play Durham or Durham Sestria, derbies, form goes out the window when it's a derby, right?
Oh, 100%. It does. You kind of call it a derby's a derby. We all know that, and in the northeast, we take football to another level than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um, so it is going to be put your war shirt on and get out there, and majority of Sunderland's performance and goals, at, from what I've seen so far, has been from the midfield.
Yeah.
Um, they've had they've got Kitchen who scored a cracker of a free kick the last game. You've got Dia, you've got Fenton. Their centre forwards. I mean, I would hope they don't turn out on Sunday. You know what I mean? But like the firepower for Sunderland's coming through the midfield, and I
Yeah.
think we just need to be very careful of that and very aware, which I'm sure they will have gone through all that in training. But yeah, no, amazing. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. I mean, so you're going with a 2-1, hopefully a 2-1 win for the lasses.
Yeah, I would love to say 2-0, but I just feel because it's at the Stadium of Light, it's in their den, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, we're going to have pretty much work following wise. We'll think them because we've got huge following. So the volume is going to be coming from the Newcastle supporters, but
Mhm.
it's a Stadium of Light for them, and I think they will pull a goal back, but I don't think it's going to be strong enough to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it will be certainly a feisty watch, and I think everyone will be looking forward to it. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, Aaron, thank you for joining us,
You're welcome.
uh,
No problem.
and thank you everyone for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you think the match result will be. Let us know your score predictions and who might score. Will it be Shania Hales? Will it be Kitching or McAteer, or will Katie Barker score a worldie? That's the one I'm hoping for. She's my favorite Lasses player.
Oh, okay.
Um, Other than that, thank you for joining us. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.